couple of quotes here. She very famously said, "We've all known the long loneliness." And I think we all have at some point in time in our life. We've felt that. We've all known the long loneliness. And the other part of it goes right back to the book of Genesis where God says, it is not good for man to be alone. So we sort of have this experience of loneliness. And at the same time, we know, this doesn't seem to be quite the way God has the plan set up. And there's obviously, starting point obviously is that there's a difference between loneliness and being alone. I think for a lot of us, we enjoy just time by ourselves. That's a beautiful thing. But that feeling of loneliness is something different. And that feeling of loneliness is not one that brings us into the better angels of our nature, brings us into the flow of providence. It's a hard place to be. Hard place to be. So I want to talk about that some. Yesterday, I posted a quote, and it's by an author I really like by the name of Arthur Brooks. And what he said, and I thought it was a really good point, was he said, that especially with males, and I think probably for a lot of women too, the problem is so much of our friendship and connections are built on interests. So again, you look at the internet, right? I'm looking at my social media feed here. It's off to my left, and it will have algorithms that are constantly like plucking my interests and shooting me down different rabbit holes with this interest. Like I like World War II history, so that's always going that direction. And so we have these algorithms that just even accentuate our interests even more. And that's okay, but that will create connection, of course, but it's a superficial level of connection. It's connection over that thing. It's sort of a mile wide and an inch deep. We can get to know, with a small K, a lot of people who share the similar interests. But is there anybody who we truly have that deep connection with? And how do we know when we have that truly deep connection? Well, the people we have the truest connection with are the people we can absolutely tell the honest truth to. And that's kind of interesting, right? Because you think about like, well, we share a lot of laughs, we share a lot of this, we share a lot of that. And that's very true as well. But I think when it really comes down to it, it's like who are the people in your life you can really tell the truth to? Not sugarcoat it, not give it in little drips and drabs, but really kind of tell the truth to, and they can tell the truth to you as well. And I think, boy, if we have 2 or 3 of those people in our life, we are doing exceptionally well. And if you have more, good on you, because that is phenomenal to have that. And what does this mean? Well, and how do we develop it? Well, I would say that we develop connection, a number of different ways. And again, here's this loneliness. We know God doesn't, ordain that we feel lonely. Of course, we'll have times alone, real important, that are critical actually for our growth. But loneliness is a different beast. And we live in this place of loneliness, and can we make those connections where we have people who can really tell the truth to, and they can tell the truth to us? That matters a great deal. And so how is it that we can shape that? How is it that we can move forward with that? Well, here's a couple of ideas. And one is sort of more, taking step into, and the other is inviting others to take a step in. So one's going this way and one's going this way. The one going this way, this is stepping out. Last night we had a wonderful small group on the book Theo of Golden. Wonderful read. This is the book cover if you're interested. We had a great small group last night. People from all over, New York, California, some people from the Midwest were on vacation. Just a great group of people from all over. And we shared over some beautiful quotes, and we're looking at the idea, like, does sorrow, that sorrow and joy oftentimes come so closely together, and how do we sort of balance those two out, and all kinds of beautiful, insightful things, talking about, in our own faces, where would you see the sadness? In our own faces, where would you see the joy? And that those two things oftentimes are just, swirling around out there in the universe. It's a great connection, and that is a step out. And there's so many groups like that out there. And the biggest thing is to overcome that I can't be part of that. One of the people in the group, I won't say the name of the person, but it was somebody from California. First time they've been in a New Church Live small group. They joined the group on commuting back home after work, and it's great having them. And I can only imagine, I think all the time, How many people just got this close to joining a small group, and then at the last minute, Bob, no, can't do it. And really, I think that I mean, again, I've done the same thing, so I don't want to shame anybody about that. And also, I want to remind us all that if we feel that our world is better off with connection, we should take that step. Just put it that simply. So that's the stepping out. And what about inviting other people in? Well, there's so many simple ways to start to invite that heartfelt connection versus just interest. A simple one is probably all of us watching this know a friend who's had or might currently be wrestling with a loss or has wrestled with a loss over the last few months. Great opportunity, just send them a little note. Just say, hey, you know what? I know you lost your mom a few months ago. Just thinking about you today, wishing you all the best. Lots of love, fill in the blank. That kind of thing is this invitation into this deeper connection. And the beautiful part is you can have people who you're just sharing interests with, but then you're inviting them into a deeper conversation. And will they take up on it? I don't know. But the only guarantee ever in life is that no deeper connection happens unless there is a reaching out and a reaching in. So that's the thought, friends, and it really does start to make a difference. And what would I say in conclusion? I just think so much of our spiritual work is making these connections. We think of all our spiritual work as kind of a moral thing, and it is a large component of it. But then some of the stuff that we slide under morality and some of the stuff we don't, it leaves me a little mystified sometimes, and that's for myself. I do the same thing. It's like, don't lie, cheat, or steal, obviously. But there's other ways too, that we're proactive ways. Like we're to connect, we're to bring joy, we're to reach out, we're to do these other things. Like that is what really actually matters. And that is how we create connection. My mom shared a story with me this morning. It's all this, like this reaching out to for connecting with other people, even those who may not be able to reciprocate it. Long story short, my mom is in an assisted living facility. She goes down, she volunteers with patients who are deeply confused, struggling with dementia and Alzheimer's. That was her profession. My parents owned a nursing home out in Western Pennsylvania, so it's kind of the world she knows. And she said they decided to do a prom for some of these confused patients. So what they did is she went down and she saw they had set up sort of a little pop-up store, bunch of, I guess, a local store, a number of stores had donated ball gowns for these people to go through with Alzheimer's and dementia, to pick a ball gown that they would like to wear to a dance that they're going to have. And I don't know what the dance will look like, and it doesn't even really matter. Mom just said they looked so incredibly happy. And that's where, again, friends, like that's that reaching out, that reaching in, that's connecting at that deeper level, that's moving just beyond interest. And yeah, obviously the connection will probably not be with somebody with Alzheimer's, but I guarantee you show up those kind of things, you're going to connect with people. You're going to connect with people who share that kind of love. And it's not just an interest, it's this internal thing. So that's the thought for today, friends. And I hope that makes a lot of sense to you as you battle, as we all do, with the ache of loneliness. So with that, we're going to shift gears here. And we're going to shift gears. We come to a very slow landing here. What we do is I'll ring the prayer bell. We'll do a little breath. We'll do a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing, and then we'll say hi to those who've joined us on Facebook. So with that, let's get a little breath. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's get a little quick. I'm going a little late here. My apologies. Let's flip on to a little, I think you got some comments here. All right, Martha, good morning to you, my friend. I hope you're doing quite well. And now let's flip on over to here. All right. There we go. All right, Gene. Sadly, I had that deep connection with my dear friend Judy, and she's irreplaceable. Yeah, and that is a hard one, Gene, and my heart goes out to you. That is hard because we do on our path meet some friends that really are irreplaceable, and that there's just it's hard to find replacements. I want to fully honor that. So thank you for saying that. I bet you're getting a lot of people who are watching at home nodding right now that they've had that same experience. Marcus, good morning to you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. All right, friends. Well, listen, God bless all of you, and we will see you again tomorrow.